live? We're live. That's Candace Owens. What is happening with Charles Blaine up there on the top left? What is going on? Welcome to the BCM Podcast. I'm your host today, Brad Swale. To my top right, I have Michael Searle. And to my top left, I have Charles Blaine. They are the C and the M and the BCM. So welcome to the show. This is our first time going live.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
There we go. Right. Thanks, Bill O'Reilly. So I seriously, do we have Charles Blaine? Do we have tell me the story there. What was happening?
That was my intro.
Oh, well, welcome. Thanks for introing yourself. So since we're doing it live and you're probably watching this later, as everyone else will as well, including your mothers and your crazy uncles. Thank you, Miss Blaine, our favorite fan. Like and subscribe, hit that notification button, do all that stuff. You guys have been on YouTube before. You know what to do. I don't even know why I got to tell you. How's everyone doing today?
I'm doing great. My headache just passed like 5 minutes before this show, so I'm ready and I'm in action. Thank God.
Are you having menopause?
No, I'm just having really bad headaches every single day. I tried your suggestions. Nothing seems to be working. And so I just got a new medication, but it's like really new on the market. And so I'm afraid of taking it. So I'm probably not going to.
Okay. Is it the COVID-19 vaccine?
Maybe.
Okay. Michael, I don't know why you're still muted. I don't know what's happening with you.
He's got some stuff going on in the background.
Salt water didn't work?
No. And nor did my mom suggested ginger. Everything, all these like homeopathic suggestions online, nothing seems to work.
Okay. Well,
shucks.
All right. Well, we got some topics today. Today we're talking about Ben Shapiro. He says that we have a right to guns, but not a right to drugs. That's not that's a synopsis, right? Of course, Sean Puff Daddy Combs, also known as P. Diddy. Charles, is he known as anything else? You would know, right?
Puff Daddy, Love, Diddy,
Love,
Puffy. He changed his name to Love like 5 years ago. Yeah, and then he changed it back to Diddy. So yeah, weird.
We also have open carry nullification has occurred in Texas. Got a little video of that, I believe. And I don't know, maybe some potpourri somewhere in the middle to clear the air of all this political shit. I got to be careful. We might have kids watching since we're live.
Yeah, we're also maybe going to talk about Florida's social media ban, if you didn't mention.
Oh, yes. Florida did a social media ban for any kid under 14, I think has to have parent permission. But we'll talk about that too. So where do we start? Let's start with Ben Shapiro, since that was the first one we did. Michael, play us in here. What do we got?
Okay, so I'm listening to the Piers Morgan show the other day, and they have a long history. Diddy, Piers Morgan and Ben Shapiro, and Ben Shapiro basically says, well, let me back up. Piers Morgan asked Ben Shapiro, like, people are dying from fentanyl overdoses, and you're willing to use government force to stop people from using fentanyl, but people are dying from guns, and you're not willing to use government force to. That was the question. Piers Morgan, here, play it.
Effectively has turned this entire state to America's South into a narco state. The drug cartels don't just run the American southern border. Effectively, they run the Mexican government at this point. And if serious pressure isn't brought to bear on the Mexican government to disconnect and fight the drug cartels, this problem is going to continue to fester.
Let me ask a question that I think will appeal to fans of our lengthy relationship who remembered some of our early skirmishes. But because a drug is killing nearly 100,000 people a year in America, you're very determined to bring in all sorts of new regulations, rules, laws, and so on. Why do you not feel as strongly about the number of people being killed by guns?
Well, I mean, I certainly feel horrible for people who are killed by guns. There's two main distinctions. One is that we actually have a right in the United States to keep and bear arms, whereas you do not have a right to actually ingest or distribute fentanyl. And two is that the solutions that are proposed for preventing the distribution of fentanyl in the United States are likely to be significantly more impactful than many of the gun regulations that have been proposed in order to stop the so-called gun violence epidemic.
All right. That's the backstory.
Yeah, that's the backstory. But what stood out to me was he said, we need to be able to separate ingest and sell, right? Distribute. Yeah. But what stood out to me was he said, you don't have a right to ingest drugs.
Okay.
And So I thought about that. I texted it to you guys. It's like, do we have a right to ingest drugs? The Constitution gives us a right to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Is
Right?
ingesting which one of those three is ingesting drugs?
All three,
Well, I would say liberty.
depending on which drug. All three. But whatever you think about, whatever you think about drug use. I mean, I'm not making a moral judgment here. I'm saying I'm more asking a legal question and a constitutional question. Does a human being have the right under the Constitution to put whatever in their body they want? And the government doesn't have a right to say yes or no. That's separate from the question of distributing it. Okay. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think, and then I can tell you what I think.
Are we talking about the legality of it or the philosophical?
Wherever you want to take it. I'm more taking it from a philosophical lens, but constitutional lens. How this could be founded.
So, I mean, obviously, the Constitution obviously outlines Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. A lot of people, they talk about the militia, well-regulated, yada, yada, yada. Fuck you. I'm going to buy my guns and you can't do anything about it. I have a natural right to defend myself. And that right, they say it comes from God. It's a natural right, right? Do we have
correction? It's not they say, it does, but go ahead.
All right, calm down. I'm on your side.
We're not just, it's Easter weekend after all, but go.
But do we have a natural right to ingest? I mean, he's speaking specifically about fentanyl, but I guess we can broaden it to all drugs, illicit or otherwise. Do we have a natural right to ingest drugs?
Oh, you're asking me? I thought you were answering the question, then you just ended it with the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did Michael do the exact same thing and you didn't say a peep?
Well, you started to answer his question, so I assumed you would answer it. Listen, yes, I think they do. I mean, because essentially what you're saying is that if you're going to allow the government to regulate what you can ingest, well, then what if tomorrow they decide that you can't ingest ashwagandha or like green tea? I mean, it's, so yeah, I think so. Now, in terms of regulating what can be sold, that's obviously a very separate conversation. And that's where I think it should be addressed if you're going to address it. Particularly if it's coming across the border and it's like doing it, and that's the issue. But in terms of what you can adjust, yeah, I mean, it's especially when you look at some drugs like marijuana, shrooms, things that just grow on the ground, you're going to regulate what you can pick off the ground and eat or smoke, I guess. So
They
no,
do all of that.
Huh?
They already do all of that.
Not ingest though.
Yeah, they absolutely do. They absolutely regulate the food. They regulate food. They regulate the stuff that we grow that comes out of the ground. And if they can regulate what you can sell, how else are you supposed to get fentanyl?
Well, okay, no, they regulate food, but take for instance when New York had the ban on the big gulp. It wasn't illegal to drink a big gulp. It was illegal to sell a big gulp. So like, yes, they regulate food and kind of the parameters that food needs to be in to be sold, but it doesn't regulate, like even in school lunches, like they regulate what the school lunch could be, but that doesn't stop a kid from taking 2 school lunches and eating both of them, right?
Isn't that a distinction without a difference? I mean, you can ingest a big gulp, but you just can't sell it. Well, how the hell are you supposed to get a big gulp?
I mean, you can't sell drugs today, but you can get them.
I understand. I'm just saying if we're going to allow them to regulate what we can and cannot sell, then, and we agree that that's okay, that's their right to do that, then they can regulate and how what we ingest because they can regulate how we sell.
Hold up. Straw man that you use often.
What are you talking about?
They're already doing it. Isn't the whole premise of this show kind of that they're doing stuff they shouldn't be doing?
Why
so
did you think that I was agreeing with them?
But you're using an argument that says they're already doing it, so of course they have the right to regulate it. No.
The follow-up question was, do they have the right to sell it? Do they have the right to regulate the sale of it? And which I don't think that they should. And if we're talking about the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, they regulate our ability to sell all sorts of stuff that they shouldn't.
So, yeah. So on the use part, first of all, this is not philosophical. I'm a grown ass man.
Okay.
who other than myself is who other than myself gets to decide what I put in my body or don't put in my body?
The government. They shouldn't.
So the first argument to Ben Shapiro is, I'm a grown ass man. I can decide for myself what goes into my body, what doesn't go into my body. Thank you, Ben Shapiro. Second, there is a constitutional, there's not an amendment dedicated to the right to ingest drugs, but there is an amendment that has been interpreted to give us a right to privacy, meaning what I do in my house or what I do with my body is not any of the government's business. That's the Fourth Amendment. I think the strongest constitutional argument for it, which I'll even say right here, he might be right on the constitutional argument, but I would say the strongest argument for it is under the Fourth Amendment, I have a right to privacy about what I take or do not take.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Which is why, yes, I mean, you do have a strong right to privacy, and that's why the government can't access.
What? Charles Blaine, did you just say? What did you just say?
I was agreeing with Michael.
No. Repeat what you just said.
What exactly did I say? That
we have a right to what?
Privacy.
To privacy. I agree. Anyway, I agree with you, and that's why they can't access things like, if you're taking antidepressants or stuff like that. So yeah, I think you're exactly right. Now, I do think that some conservatives would make the argument that there is a moral obligation to prevent it, and that they would use government as a way to stop people from harming themselves. Now, I don't agree with that argument, but I do think that there are people who would make that argument.
And I would respond to them.
So.
And I would respond to them, since the drug war started and since we got heavy drug laws in this country, has drug use gone up or down?
Well, that's because the CIA.
Well, that too. Has it been an effective deterrent?
What? Okay. Oh, we got Brian Searle. He's live. Hell yeah.
My little brother.
Ask him what he thinks. Can he comment? Because I'd love to know what he thinks.
He says if you're affecting someone else or not, like if you have a child, or are you hurting that child by taking that drug and maybe you're neglecting that child? So that's sort of where I was going to go with this, is that there are externalities to your actions, which is fine if you're 100% responsible for those externalities, right? But the government already, they socialize the cost of your actions to all of us. So I would, if they're going to stop doing that, fine. Take as much fentanyl as you want, smoke as much weed as you want, do as much coke as you want. I don't care. Like on a pure philosophical basis, yeah, you should have the freedom to do that. But if the government is going to step in and say, "Oh, Michael, he lost all of his money in Bitcoin, and so he got a bad drug problem. He went off the rails, did a little cocaine, got into a drunk driving accident." And now we got to pay for his kids, all this other stuff. If they stop doing that, then yeah, when you lose your Bitcoin, it goes to zero. That's fine. Do whatever you want.
It ain't going to zero. And to respond, hey, Brian Searle, my favorite human on the planet, or one of them, my little brother. There are laws for child neglect. You don't need to enforce the drug use law in order to prevent child neglect.
If you do so much cocaine that you become like useless, or whatever drug, I don't care. I'm not going to pick on cocaine. I know that's your favorite one, so I apologize. But if you do so much that you can't hold a job or something like that, you're not necessarily technically neglecting your children, then, your family has to go on the public dole. Meth, I'm being reliably told that your favorite is meth, actually. If we have to pay for that negative outcome as a society, then society has an obligation to say, no, you can't do that.
Well, and I think that's the argument that essentially Ben Shapiro and some conservatives would make, is that as a society, if you want to continue to progress, you would need to limit.
Why are you talking this way?
Why do you keep interrupting every time making a good point?
Yeah.
that you would limit what people can do. And I think that's the argument he's making. Do I agree with that? Probably not. But I mean, because here's the same thing though. You can, like anything could be the case for anything. You could just eat a lot of food and be morbidly obese and unable to take care of your kids. And so it's the case. You could take a lot of vitamins and it could be just too many that it ends up being. Okay, I'll stop.
Well, yeah, we do have lots of people not taking care of themselves, getting obese, eating terrible food, smoking cigarettes, whatever. And there's tons of externalities, but we don't say you can't eat food with sugar in it.
I agree. But I'm also not saying that the government is consistent in their enforcement or in their laws or in their morals or in their ethics or everything else that they do. But if I think I'm still correct that if the government is going to say, we're going to take care of you if you fuck up, no matter what or take care of, your family or whatever, whatever the case may be, when Michael is homeless because he doesn't have any more Bitcoin, then we have to take care of that homeless Michael. And it'll be easy to spot because he's huge.
Well,
True.
This is true. So should we, I have a question. Should we regulate this? Can you guys hear that? No, right?
All right. And then what are you drinking during the day?
Soda.
Sodies.
Soda pops.
Okay. And how much do you think you drink a day?
8 to 12 a day.
8 to 12 cans?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's regular soda?
No, it's that.
It's diet. Okay.
Our mom told us when we were younger, if we ate a sugar, you drink a Diet Coke afterwards and it'll cancel out the sugar.
That's
okay,
true.
so see,
That's
what's
true.
the difference? What is the difference between like someone who is like that and has a child, or even themselves, because now they're going to be on the public dollar when assuming they're not working, which I don't think they are. What is the difference between someone like that and someone who's just doing drugs? And so are we going to regulate if
Yes, Brian Searle. Her forehead does have a fat roll. There is a 0% chance that those two whales are not on the public dole.
nice.
Huh?
That's not nice.
I don't care. There's no chance that they're not like, considered handicapped by the state, can't work, can't walk, do whatever, they're getting paid for by something, and maybe it's chubby chasers online. I doubt it, but they're getting government money. And if they're getting government money because they totally screwed up their whole metabolic system and they can't control it, they think that if you drink a Diet Coke, it cancels out sugar. If you eat a sugar, I don't know what sugar is, but whatever, cancels it out. If that's what's happening, then yeah, they should not be allowed to do that.
No. Well, they shouldn't be allowed.
Correct. And if they continue to do it, then they get off the public dole.
How about before we start using laws and regulations to regulate what people can and cannot do, we give good information? How about let's just start with the FDA?
I don't hear you.
What happened to you? Start with the FDA. Your microphone cut off.
Maybe it's the FDA that cut off your microphone.
Nope. Can't hear you now.
Yeah.
I think what you were going to say was Brad is right.
Or maybe he was going to say get rid of the. I mean, he probably was going to say get rid of the FDA, which I don't disagree with.
I think he's talking about getting, the FDA needs to get good information, and you're muted, but give good information and educate the public and stop using things like the totally wild and inaccurate food pyramid. Michael? I mean, we heard you for like a split second, and then you just whatever you did.
It worked for a second.
I mean, if you're watching this live, this is not typical. This doesn't always happen. Are you back?
Oh, I'm back.
Okay, you're back.
I was saying that we'll start with the food pyramid and the education and what we're recommending to people that they should eat, how they should take care of their bodies. Second, how about we stop subsidizing things that make people sick?
Like corn?
Yeah, like corn, like sodies. the number one purchase of, or the number one expense of welfare checks is soda in the United States.
But you have to understand why, though. I mean, you go into a lot of these communities that don't have access to grocery stores, like to robust grocery stores. All you're getting is a soda. and it's cheaper than water. Like chips are cheaper than like healthy food, or you might not even have a fruit at your local Dollar Tree. All you're going to get is like free, like dried plantains. So I think it's an even worse problem when you boil it down to that point. But I agree, we should not be subsidizing that, no matter how much I like to put corn syrup in my coffee in the morning.
My point being that our government has policies that encourage people to not take care of themselves. We should probably invert that and have government policies and information that encourages people to be healthy. So that would be a starting point.
You know, Briscoe Kane, we had him on the show. He filed a bill, I think maybe 2 sessions in a row, that would have banned people who were getting food stamps in Texas from buying junk food, and it never passed. And he got a lot of heat for it. But he filed, I think it was 2 sessions in a row. I know it was at least 1 session, but I think it was 2 in a row.
Right, but I mean, that goes back to I think that's a good idea. You know, if you're going to get government money, then there's only certain things you can spend it on, right? If I'm giving you money, Charles, then I'm going to try to say like, hey, you can only spend it on this.
And
right.
And according to Callie Means, former pharmaceutical executive.
I don't think you're talking into your microphone. I think you're talking into your computer.
Microphone's working. I think he's using his computer mic now.
There we go. I mean, I
won't
said
make my point.
Who's Callie Means?
You'll have to look him up. He's a former pharmaceutical rep and lobbyist for the food industry. He's now a whistleblower or talks about it publicly. And he said that when he was lobbying for the food industry, they bought off the NAACP to say that prohibiting the use of food stamp money for soda was racist, and NAACP was lobbying against that, removing that. Because they got bought off.
Is that racist, Charles?
Yes. No.
Well, I mean, it kind of sounds like you were making a point similar earlier, saying that these people they go.
Well, that's not just. I mean, it's not just black communities though. Those are like poor white communities too that have. Yeah. So I don't think it's racist. I think it's. I don't even want to say it's discriminatory against poor people. I think it just puts them in a weird position when they're unable to do so. But the same thing, I can't remember whatever the name of that, the big kind of conglomerate of cigarette companies is, made the same argument that banning menthol cigarettes is racist against black people because we love menthol. And so yeah, I mean, they're successful in making those arguments a lot of times. I don't know why people listen to it, but.
So wait, is smoking menthols? Is that I think was it a black thing?
Yeah, I think a lot of black people smoke menthols. Yeah.
Do you smoke menthols?
I don't smoke any cigarettes, but when I was in high school and I dabbled in cigarettes, they were menthol.
Why? Why is that a black thing?
Well, I mean, I didn't go to school with a lot of black people. It was just like a thing that we were smoking Newports at the time. And so we were that's just what we were smoking. But, and granted, when I say smoking, I smoked cigarettes for like 2 months and I inhaled half the time. So I didn't really smoke cigarettes, but yeah, I don't know why it's a black thing, but I know that a lot of black people smoke menthol cigarettes.
Okay. That's fair. So, I mean, going back to do we have a right to ingest fentanyl? Yeah, I think that if we wanted
Brian Searle smoked Newports too. I mean, I don't know if that should be cheering that on, but yes.
Gross. Brian Searle. Ugh. Y'all are nasty. American Spirits, yellows. That was the best. Was the best. And that I don't smoke them anymore, but whatever. They're probably still the best. I don't know.
American Spirits, don't those not have filters? Like, aren't those Native American?
Oh, ugh. God, I don't live in Appalachia.
They have filters.
Going back to the original, topic, do we have a right to ingest fentanyl? Sure. You can ingest it if you want, unless the government is going to pick up the tab for your bad actions. In which case, no, you don't.
Well, then you do that on the back end. Say that if you go to the hospital with a fentanyl overdose and you don't have insurance, then we won't help you. I mean, that's not a logical answer, but I think you do it on the back end and say that, if X happens, we will not help if you are doing these drugs, rather than saying you can't ingest them.
Michael?
Require drug tests.
For?
Government assistance.
Okay. And then
that's
otherwise, so long as you're not getting government assistance, then everything should be legal.
Well, I don't agree with your. I don't agree with your argument necessarily, because so many people are getting government assistance right now that it doesn't justify infringing on somebody's right to put things in their body or not put things in their body that they want to. But if you're concerned, we just used several. We just went through this whole thing about food. So if you're drinking soda, you shouldn't be able to get government assistance, would be the logic of what you're saying.
Sure.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I'm in. All about it. All about it.
I don't know that I would say that. I would say if you are getting government assistance to buy food, you should not be able to buy soda. That I would do it that way rather than saying if we find out you're drinking soda, your government assistance is cut off.
I mean, I don't know. I think I'd cut them off. You're done. I mean, if you're
drinking 12 a day, yeah, sure. Like, I think you should definitely.
Well, 12 sodies. 12 sodies. And I think this is. Are they? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to share this. This is from Mike Cernovich. And he's been talking about marijuana because Glenn Youngkin vetoed a bill to legalize it. He says, I wanted weed legalized. The understanding was people would use it responsibly and for appropriate conditions, like medicine. In LA, people are vaping THC while driving. It's marketed to kids, promoted on every podcast as a laugh. Teenagers are having psychotic breaks. Enough. Yeah.
You want me to respond to that? I mean,
yeah, respond. I look, at the end of the day, I don't want the government involved in hardly anything, right? I agree. I don't want the government taking my money or your money or anybody else's money to give to somebody else. And they take as much as they want from me and give as much as they want to somebody else for any reason. I think that's all fucked and a really bad system, and that needs to change. But so long as they're doing that, yeah, I want them to force people to be more responsible.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to respond to Cernovich's hysterical tweet as if it's fact. What I would say is there are rules against driving under the influence. There are rules against marketing drugs to kids. All the things he's pointing out, there are already rules. Why wouldn't you allow adults to ingest a substance in order to prevent all those other things from happening? Plus, it's going to happen anyways. Yeah. People are going to use marijuana whether or not it is legal.
Not unless we have fathers in the home.
Tangent.
Brett, I love how you say that you don't agree. You barely want to use government for anything. On this podcast, you have advocated for government to not allow housing to be built. You have to cut off food stamps if you drink soda. Like this. Like
that
this.
Was me.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Well, I think that brings us to some good potpourri. So let me pull this up real quick. This is from Elon Musk. Everyone knows Elon Musk, right? He's a billionaire. He's an immigrant, as AOC wants to say.
Yeah.
But hold on, let me make this full screen so you guys can't see all the good stuff.
Billionaire.
All right, here he is.
I think Tesla will have sort of a ChatGPT moment. Maybe if not this year, I'd say no later than next year.
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry. You're going to have a
sort of ChatGPT moment.
Oh, you will. In terms of suddenly it will.
Yeah, suddenly 3 million cars will be able to drive themselves with no one.
Right. It goes back to that. Right.
Yeah, and then 5 million cars, and then 10 million cars.
Stop playing. There's got to be a better way to do this. So he's saying that AI. There's going to be a chat GPT moment. All of a sudden, it's capable of doing all of these things, and all of these Teslas are going to start self-driving. And that brings me to this. This is maybe my new favorite thing. AI can make music now. I know Charles is excited about this. He's a big music fan. He told us offline that he loves the new Beyonce album and loves Beyonce. So do you want some blues music, some rap music? What do you want?
I mean, I like house music.
Oh my God. Just pick one of the two that I gave you.
Okay, blues.
All right. Let's play some blues.
I was born in
street in my old hometown when I heard BCM starting to go to town. They said they want new buildings, they say they want to talk, but they don't care about the history. They don't care about it all. Call themselves BCM to say it's all for all they do is tear down what was once stood. They don't care about the families who lived here for years. All they care about is their own selfish career.
That's right.
Won't you leave us alone? Stop destroying our homes, our roots, our homes. We don't need your skyscrapers. We don't need your greed.
How? Like how and why?
How and why what? What happened?
How and why do you have a NIMBY AI generated?
YIMBY.
Well, no, the song is a NIMBY song, but yes, it's about YIMBYs. That is ridiculous.
What's ridiculous about it? Is there something in this that's incorrect? I mean, do YIMBYs care about families who've lived here for years? Do they? I don't think so.
You know, I can't wait till next session when you're standing in the rotunda with your boombox playing that song.
I'm gonna make a big splash. You just wait. You just wait.
Make us a new intro song that says you got all this time here to make an AI.
All this time, all I had to do was type in a few words, and it did it for me. I didn't have to direct it.
What application did you use for that?
It's a secret.
ElonMusk.com.
Huh?
Elon.
No, it's Suno.ai.
Great song. Lyrics,
yeah, kind of
a little hysterical, but good voice, good beat, good tune. Well done.
Anyway, what's the next topic, Brad?
Brad dancing.
we can't even hear the song. I don't know if you hear it by yourself.
But you can't hear the song?
No. We just think you're listening to something in your head.
You dance like you look, just FYI.
What makes you think that I was putting on a performance for y'all?
No, we don't want to hear it again.
I got something to say.
Yeah.
About these YIMBYs, they in my way. They claim they want progress, but they don't know the struggle we face on these concrete roads.
In the world.
They just fine pushing people out, building luxury condos while we live it out. Say it's for the better, who better?
This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
That's really good.
This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, I thought it was pretty good.
Almost as Elon Musk saying we're all going to be driving in driverless cars. What is it called? The Cybertruck? I keep seeing them. I don't know why anybody buys it other than for a status symbol. I think it's so ugly.
They're hideous.
Me too. Yeah.
So ugly. Ugh. Anyhow, what's the next? Are we going on the next topic? Was that enough potpourri for everybody? You want some more music?
Nope. We got enough.
Nope.
Got our fill.
Oh boy. All right, let's go to P. Diddy. So I guess there's several conspiracy theories surrounding Sean P. Diddy Combs, otherwise known as Love, according to Charles. Did you pick up that nickname for him, Love? Is that on that like boy chat social media that you're on? Or was on what? Was boy parties or whatever? What was it?
Party Body, and that went out of style in like 2006, and it was purely for club promotion. Anyway.
I wonder if Sean P. Diddy Combs was on that. So I guess in March. So I got this from a summary. So in March 2024, his homes in Los Angeles and Miami were raided by the feds, leading to speculation about the reasons behind the raids. Some conspiracy theories suggest that the raids were part of a larger effort to target high-profile individuals in the entertainment industry. Others believe that the raids may have been related to financial or legal issues that Combs was facing. One of the most disturbing claims brought against P. Diddy is the lawsuit filed by his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, who I don't know who that is. Charles, do you know who that is?
You know who Cassie is. You've heard her songs before.
Probably, but I don't know who she is. Back in November 2023, she accused Combs of sexual and physical abuse, including forcing her to engage in a sexual fantasy called voyeurism and threatening to blow up the car of rapper Kid Cudi, whom she was dating at the time. Another lawsuit filed by producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones in February 2024 alleged that Combs had groped him repeatedly and forced him to solicit sex workers and take illegal drugs, while working on Combs' latest album, the Love album, Off the Grid. You think one of those songs that I just made could that be on that album? In addition to these allegations, P. Diddy's involvement in various incidents, such as the collapse of the Baltimore Bridge in 2020. Well, I don't know why that's on. So, what's going on with P. Diddy?
I mean, this has been building for a while. There have been like loose accusations about Diddy, and it's kind of a similar. There are two, I think, trains of thought or strains of thought. One is that he's
trains.
Huh?
You would say trains because you're a.
All right, when you said voyeurism before, it was like you had this memory back to things. You had to take a pause and think about your. Anyway, so one is that he is kind of like a Jeffrey Epstein. With Michael, you call him a honeypot. Is that what it is?
Honeypot.
That's the word, right? Honeypot. And the other is that he is actually, involved in all these things. And so Cassie filed a lawsuit, and they settled it for, I think, an undisclosed amount, which, he settled it, which I think says something. And she made a lot of these accusations in there. He's now dating, or was dating, a girl by the name of Carisha, aka JT, aka Half of City Girls. And a lot of times they would, when she was doing interviews with her girl group, they would ask like, "Oh, you're dating?" And she's like, "Well, we're not really dating. Like when we're in the same town, we're together." And they're like, "What does that mean?" Like, and she's like, "Well, when we're together, like he pays for my stuff." Now it's looking like she's an escort for him, and he pays these people to do stuff for him. And there's like allegedly videos. Usher has an interview where he says that when he was 13, his mom sent him to live with Diddy, and he was around all this like crazy stuff that a 13-year-old shouldn't have been around. Justin Bieber lived with him when he first became famous. So yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff surrounding this. And listen, the entertainment industry is weird. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of this stuff proves to be true.
So I'm going to take you on a little Diddy history tour.
Oh, okay? Charles about to get schooled.
Wait, before you start, the tour is called Did He Do It or Did He Not?
He diddled.
1991, CCNY tragedy. 9 people die, overcrowding in a club. Combs settles with the families. 1995, Jake Robles shooting outside of Atlanta nightclub. Combs denies, but charges are filed against him. 1998, Steve Stout assaulted by Diddy. Diddy admits wrongdoing. He's sentenced to anger management. 1999, Club New York shooting. Combs acquitted, other guy convicted, and Combs is accused of bribing his driver to implicate the other guy in the shooting.
Pause on that one. I think that was the one that he made J-Lo hide the gun, right? Or I think that's the one. Yeah.
Yep. 2013, alleged fight between Combs, J. Cole, and Kendrick Lamar. 2014, Live nightclub. Combs punches Drake in the face. 2015, he gets in a fight with the UCLA assistant football coach. 2019, his ex Gina, I can't pronounce it, alleges physical abuse. And then 2023, Cassie's alleged allegations and 3 other people are accusing him of rape. The reason I bring all of this up is there's a specific reason, because one thing is not mentioned in here. One very specific thing is not mentioned in here.
Uh-oh. Tupac. Hell yeah.
Greg Kading, the lead investigator in the Tupac and Biggie murders back in the 90s, right? This guy. He's pulled off the case. Why is he pulled off the case? Well, he finds this guy named Keith D. Davis. And Keith D. Davis.
With an F?
Keith, yeah. Keith D. Davis says that Diddy offered to pay him $1 million to kill Tupac.
Wow.
Keith D. Davis was arrested for the murder of Tupac Shakur when? Last year. So my expectation, or what I think is happening here, is Diddy has a long history of all sorts of crazy stuff. His father was Frank Lucas's business partner. Frank Lucas, the character in American Gangster, who has ties to the CIA and the drug trade. Right? Are we following me?
Yeah, I am.
Well, okay. I don't think Charles knows who Tupac is, but keep going.
Clearly. So what I think happened is Keith D. Davis, who was arrested in 2023, is singing right now. And all of this is the fallout. And he's going to get all of this is the fallout of the Keith D. Davis arrest and his offer of $1 million to kill Tupac. And all of this stuff is coming out as a result of whatever investigation followed. And Keith D. Davis is a cooperating witness with whoever is leading this, because the day of the murders, the media was already there. They already knew. And he flew his plane, which he wasn't on, to Antigua.
Mm-hmm.
What's on the plane?
He wasn't on the plane to Antigua?
No.
Where is he?
In Miami.
Miami. Okay. So
his plane takes off after the raid, goes to Antigua. No extradition treaty with the United States. So what are they? Something's on that plane. Something is getting moved. We don't know what. We'll never know what. And I think that this all has to tie into that 2023 arrest and his long history of, I don't know.
Well,
crime.
On top of that, his assistant, whose name I'm drawing a blank on right now, was arrested like 3 days ago for drugs. I think they stopped him at an airport and he was carrying some drugs with him. So he was now arrested. And one of the other things you didn't mention, he's twin daughters with a woman named Kim Porter. Kim Porter allegedly was writing a book about, because she had been with him from like the early days of when they were at like Uptown Records and had Biggie and were starting everything. So she had seen a lot, and she was allegedly writing a book. And then one day, like 5 years ago, she in the summer got pneumonia and died. And then they were like, that's very strange. And a lot of people from those early days, Andre Harrell and other people who were around Diddy in the early days, all died under like strange, but maybe you don't have to question it kind of circumstances. And so he's been surrounded by a lot of weird stuff over the years.
So did he have Tupac killed?
I wouldn't put it past him.
You wouldn't put it past him? Why?
If you're trying to keep things secret, we talk about the Clintons all the time. When you're trying to keep big things secret like that, you go to great lengths to do so. And so, and I mean, he's one of the biggest people in hip hop. I mean, not even in hip hop, in music. And so I'm sure the fall of the House of Diddy would be worth doing everything you possibly can to avoid that.
What is the House of Diddy? Are you just saying that like that's his brand? Him?
Yeah, like
Ciroc.
He had a TV show. A TV network. Ciroc, a Bad Boy Records, all the artists that are associated with that. I mean, it's just a massive empire.
I think he was trying to tell us something when he named his record label Bad Boy. Right?
Not Death Row.
Wait, is he involved with Death Row? So why is he just Bad Boy Records?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Look, guys, I don't know anything about all this music stuff. I know we've gotten feedback. Don't say that you don't know. Look, I don't know who some of these people are. That's okay. I don't need to know every single musical artist. If you want to call them artists, I don't know. But I mean, did he kill Tupac? That would be kind of big, right? That would be huge news. But I've also heard that if Tupac is alive,
we won't ever know.
How would we not ever know? Michael is telling us that we're about to find out.
No, I'm just saying it's pretty coincidental that this is all coming after the 2023 arrest of this guy who apparently was going to be paid $1 million to kill Tupac. And and then all the Cat Williams stuff. He's out there talking about this. He was talking about this prior to the raid.
50 Cent too. 50 Cent had long said that Diddy was, involved in all this kind of stuff. And now he's like constantly saying, he's been on Instagram for the past like week, just kind of like reposting stuff over and over and over again.
What's 50 Cent up to lately? What's 50 Cent up to lately?
He lives in Houston. I don't know what he's doing, but he lives in Houston. But Brian Searle said that Dwayne's court case for killing Tupac starts in June, which would mean that if the court case starts in June and he's trying to get a better deal, this is around the time when stuff would start coming out and they would be going after people. And I'd also add that in Cassie's lawsuit against Diddy, she did allege sex trafficking and alleged that he forced her into sex trafficking during their relationship too. And so the timing of it all just makes absolute sense.
Yeah, and the raid that they did on his what was it, his Miami home and his Los Angeles home, LA home. I mean, there were some big guns that came out.
Yeah,
that was a real task force. Something big. What did they find? Or is that
We'll
the
never
government? That the government just being a little bit overzealous?
Well, so I think it was.
They do
not sure.
the SWAT. That's often said. SWAT comes in there and they shoot dogs.
Well, what Trump's lawyer? What's her name? Helena. I don't know.
The hot one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She was on. She said this was her. The FBI doesn't raid to get evidence; they raid to cover it up. Evidence.
Ooh, uh-oh. Boom. Is Trump going to pardon P. Diddy?
No.
Like he did ASAP Rocky. ASAP Rocky? Was it ASAP?
Harry O.
Meek Mill as well. I think he did.
Yeah.
But none of those J6ers. Am I right, boys? Anything? What?
I said you're right.
I know. Anything else?
That's it.
No? Nothing?
Excited to see what happens.
Excited to see, aren't we all? Aren't we all excited to see what happens? All right. So y'all want to talk about the Florida social media ban for children? Or are we going to nullification in Texas?
If I were hosting, I'd make the decision.
Oh, well, let's talk about the social media ban. Michael, you seemed excited about that one. So Florida will ban anyone under 14 owning a social media account from January 2025, deleting existing accounts. The bill was signed today. This was March 25th, so earlier this week, Monday, I think, by Governor Ron DeSantis. So Florida bill signed. So children's safety on social media has been a huge concern over the last few years, with states talking about requiring stronger age verification and parental controls. Welcome to Texas YouPorn. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is making it happen, having signed a bill on March 25th, 2024, that effectively bans kids 15 years old and younger from social media. If they don't, companies can be sued on the kids' behalf and may be liable for up to $10,000 in damages. So, $10,000 in damages for a social media company doesn't sound like a lot.
That's
to be honest.
per kid, though.
Sure. This would be bad for your favorite social media site.
Well,
I don't know, whatever, Party Boys or whatever it's called.
Party Body, which does not exist anymore. It was a club for anyway. I'm not doing this again. But I think this is the same thing. I mean, this is the same thing as our first topic, really. We're banning something to prevent an action, which I think is kind of stupid because kids are still going to go on social media. All they got to do is lie about their age. And what is a social media company supposed to do in order? Because at 16, well, I guess in Florida, you probably get your license or permit at 16. So maybe they can force you to do some age verification by uploading an ID. But what are they supposed to do? I mean, truly, what are they supposed to do? And so I think it's stupid. And it's a way that they are just trying to, they're taking the parents need to be in. I mean, that's the parents' role, is to make sure your kid's not on social media before you want them to be on social media. If a parent wants their kid on social media at 13, then so be it. It's a bad parent, but so be it. It's not a bad parent. I mean, maybe it's not. I don't care. I was on social media at like 10. So
yeah, you were.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Charles here. I mean, I think the first cool thing I have to address is, should kids be on social media? I don't think so. My kids won't be on social media because
so what age?
Till they can decide for themselves.
Fair.
I think the evidence is pretty crystal clear that it's not good for them. So unless there's something contrary to that, now the question is, does government say you can't do it? I'm obviously going to side on the. I'm obviously going to be more sympathetic to not using government force, and maybe parents choosing. But so I don't know about the Florida bill. I mean, I like the objective of it, which is to get kids off social media, which is linked to an increase in depression, anxiety, suicide, and all drug use probably too. So I think it's good. There's good motivation. I think that it's probably the wrong mechanism to accomplish it.
I'm going to backtrack a second on what I said, because I do think there is something contrary to it. And I think when you're looking at today, social media is such an important part of life that I can see why parents would allow younger kids to be on social media, and that doesn't make them bad parents. especially because you have a lot of kids today who are making a lot of money on social media simply for being entertaining and being young and whatever. And so I don't know. I feel like we talked about MySpace and stuff. You guys said you weren't on MySpace until what?
College.
Late high school, early college.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm split on it. I think either way. I think it's the parents' choice. I don't think government should be doing it, and I think the parents should be making that decision.
Yeah, I think generally it should be the parents' decision for sure. Why is the government stepping in? But of course, the social media. I think it's often called the town square, the public, where public discourse happens. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that? I mean, do y'all agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Sure.
if it's the town square, if it's where the public goes to air their grievances, and therefore people should have First Amendment rights to it, even though it's a private company that owns it, should the government step in and say, only, here's some regulations that need to take place?
I don't know. I mean, I can't see why, if you want to make a parent accountable for it, like if your kid goes on and something happens that you're liable for it, that's one thing. Like they're starting to do with guns and saying that if your kid takes your gun, like I think it was the Michigan case where the kid took the parent's gun, went to school. They knew this kid had issues, and now the mom's in jail because he shot up the school. I can understand holding parents liable, but for a company to create a platform and then be forced to not just police by having some sort of simple age verification when you sign up, but going the extra mile to ensure that someone under the age of 18 is not on, or 14, 15, whatever, is not on their platform, you're putting a heavy burden on a company, a very heavy burden on a company, because kids lie all the time.
Michael?
Yeah, I think it's bad for kids to be on social media. I just don't think having government mandated or prohibited is the right solution. I think as kids, as we know, we were all kids once. When we're told we can't do something, we want to do it more. It's not going to change the instinct. So how do you address the instinct to get on social media? Well, you blast that freaking chart of the increase of anxiety and depression in kids and suicide and the onset of social media to every parent in America. Like that, they need to see that chart, and then they'll make better decisions. But CNN, MSNBC, the news media doesn't cover it. So I think it's starting to trickle out there. I think there's been a significant shift in how parents view cell phones and social media in recent years. And I think we'll get there. It would be awesome if our leaders would help with that by giving people good information. They are not, because they're in a lot of cases bought and paid for by said social media companies and said technology companies. But I think the better answer is education and good information, not prohibition.
So, Charles, you say that maybe punishing the parents for letting on there would be a more, fair use of government power. Is that accurate?
I don't know that it would be fair, but fairer.
Yes, more fair. Yeah, I'm not saying that it is fair, just more fair.
Right. Yeah.
What would the punishment be? $10,000?
No, I don't. I honestly don't know what an acceptable.
You lose your EBT.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, something simple like $1,000, like a ticket, like a traffic ticket kind of thing. Maybe $1,000, $500 fine. Something that's enough to deter you, but not make you go like bankrupt. But yeah.
What do you do about the poor parents?
I mean, I don't think we should do this anyway. I mean, like, I don't really think we should be doing this anyway. But I'm saying if we have to pick between one of the two, I think it should be on the parents rather than on the company. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The same thing that we do now, if you don't have money to pay a traffic violation, I guess they put you on like a payment plan or something.
Now, on Instagram, it's very well known, I think, that there's a lot of child trafficking going on. And on Twitter, you can easily access pornography. Every time I search for just a random, just somewhat seemingly benign term, I could search the word Austin because I'm looking for something going on in Austin. And I can almost guarantee you that the first thing that pops up will be some huge penis. And it's really disturbing, but it is what it is. I'm an adult. I can handle it.
That's called the algorithm.
No, it's not.
What I will say in your defense, Brad, and this is the only time I'll ever defend you, is that when you see these really viral tweets, every time you click, like, and it could be about anything, you click it, and for whatever reason, they always like post, like somebody will come in, they'll be like, you know, they'll say crazy things and post crazy stuff under it because they know it's viral, and you just can't get away from it at this point. I don't know why that is allowed to happen.
The Baltimore Bridge isn't, I'm sure if you search Baltimore Bridge right now, there'd be a lot of, random bot accounts posting OnlyFans pictures all over it. Now, I don't know if Michael's going to make the same slander against you that it's the algorithm.
Well, no, it's not the out, because when you click it, it's in the comments. But you were telling me when you search.
Listen, bud, it's not the algorithm. Someone says true. Yeah, it is true. It's crazy. So given that, right, is their responsibility, the government prohibits the sale of Playboy magazines and other pornography to people under 18 years old because all that stuff exists, including child sex trafficking. Do they have the responsibility to also protect kids from that? Not that they're protecting kids from child sex trafficking. If that's happening, if they allow 15-year-olds on it, that's still a child. But I think you get the point.
I mean, I think in that similar vein, I would ask the Attorney General, who just pushed for, well, not a ban, but age verification for Pornhub. Why would you not apply that same standard to Twitter, where you can't get away from seeing that stuff, even if you're young? So at that same point, if they're going to apply that standard to Pornhub, then they should be applying it to Twitter too. Because Facebook and Instagram don't necessarily allow, I don't think at all they allow that, but Twitter seems to. So,
you can definitely, Instagram, yeah, it's there. You can find it. It's not as hardcore as you can find on Twitter, but it's there. Michael sends me stuff all the time. It's weird. Michael?
Oh, I don't think I have anything new to add. I get the instinct to use government force to stop things we don't like. It doesn't work long term, and then it creates all sorts of perverse incentives. There are contradictions all over the place, but I think that DeSantis is, being DeSantis, and he's placating to a very specific constituency, and I get it from a political lens. I don't think it's going to work. I think it would be better to just provide people good information.
I think none of this really, we can talk about it, and I think it's worth talking about. But none of this is going to change. We're still going to have government doing all this stuff so long as the government is taking care of people and trying to take care of everything for everybody. And the more that happens, the more the government's going to step in and say, you can and cannot do this. Right. But I think that there's, as far as our elected heroes go, there doesn't seem to be a lot of appetite to try to change that in any sort of meaningful way.
Say elected heroes.
Yeah. Our elected heroes. They're here to save us. You didn't know?
No.
Yeah. But there's certainly not a lot of interest in pursuing fixes to the broader problem of use of government. But I struggle with, as a person that considers themselves on the right, I struggle with the morality policing of the Republicans who are technically opposed to government force, but when it's their morality that they want to impose, whether they're right or wrong, they will not stop at using government force to achieve those moral goals. And I think it's wrong. I think they're wrong. I think you persuade people. It's the same argument as the censorship argument. Like, you don't censor people, you persuade them.
I'm with you.
Is there a problem in your view, Michael, of large voices with lots of power and money behind them that are combating that good message?
Of course.
How do we solve that?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's up to the people who want to regulate to find out.
Oh, now we're for regulations. God, guys.
I'm not for it. I'm saying if they want to regulate, it's their prerogative to figure out how to convince people.
I think inertia is on our side at this point, but it'll take time.
Yeah.
Inertia, I barely knew her.
Whoa. Charles Blaine. That is.
Do we have any more topics?
Oh my God. Well, I think we're coming up on an hour here. Do y'all have anything else you want to say or do? No?
We don't want to talk about the Reddit thread.
Do we? We do or don't?
I Googled it. I don't know much about it because I wasn't supposed to say that. I can't find much more information about it other than that Reddit thread.
Well, I mean, since you guys brought it up, I have to say it so that our listeners aren't just like left on the hook. We won't spend a lot of time on this, but there's a Reddit thread from R Texas that's not Charles's favorite Reddit thread. I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's grotesque.
I found out what Reddit was 4 days ago.
And he's already a ne'er-do-well. Fifth Circuit has nullified open carry in Texas to save qualified immunity of bad cops. A 3-judge panel has ruled that if anyone calls 911 on a person for the mere act of open carrying a firearm, the police now have probable cause to arrest you for disorderly conduct. The 911 call does not have to allege you are doing anything more than standing on a sidewalk with a slung or holstered firearm. The previous ruling that merely carrying a firearm is not disorderly is overturned. Now, this is this person's opinion. I'm not saying this very bad word. Is overturned now if any Karen makes a phone call and says she's nervous. This means police get qualified immunity for arresting you. Now, Charles being real, who is this person that's on your side all of a sudden?
I don't know, but thank you, Tao. I appreciate it. I'm the realist.
You're not. You're the fakest.
I don't get the qualified immunity angle here. It really feels like they're trying to wedge that in there.
The court or the poster?
The poster.
Oh, I see.
So I'll share my screen real quick, and this is from, I think this is the associated YouTube video that says,
I am an American citizen. I will not get on the ground or disarm myself for nothing.
I'm an American. I mean, does it really say I'm an American citizen? Does that really ever do anything? It's like saying I'm a sovereign citizen. You can't give me a speeding ticket. Like, give me a break.
Are you the police chief? I am. Get on the ground. No, we're not getting on the ground. Get on the ground. We're not getting on the ground. I'll tell you one more time to get on the ground. I'm not going to tell you again. If you have a license to carry, if you have a license to carry a handgun, he doesn't need a license to carry. Get back. Get back. Get away from him. You're interfering with the duties right now. You have no duties in this. I'm a law-abiding citizen. Hey, get on the ground. We're not doing anything. I am not doing. Get back! God damn it, my back!
Woo! So I guess that's where it all started.
Whoa.
Okay, so I guess the argument is that if the cop injures you in the course of that action, you cannot sue because you had your gun out, you were open carrying, and they're immune from prosecution for that. I mean, they didn't really do anything wrong, but also just as an aside, the guys, the people who were in it,
the American citizens, Charles.
Just as an aside, I get so annoyed by these people who do that, who go out there to like it's one thing if there's an incident going on and you're recording it and like for whatever posterity and making sure that the person who's involved with the cops is safe. But these people who go out looking for like a fight with a cop just to get it on camera, that stuff kind of annoys me. But that doesn't mean that their rights should be violated. And I can see the qualified immunity. I can see being against the qualified immunity argument. I'm against qualified immunity anyway, but particularly in an instance like that where you're absolutely not doing anything and you are injured or your rights are violated because a cop chooses to, tase you.
Yeah, I see the qualified immunity argument now that I've watched the video because I hadn't watched it before. Yeah, I mean that cop should be. I don't know what the consequences for that are. I don't know if there's any evidence. Maybe you know more than me that they were out there just provoking a response from the cops. And then they're going to videotape it. Could they theoretically? They could have just been walking down the street with their guns, and this all happened. But
fair.
Yeah, I mean, in any instance where a cop violates your rights, they should have consequences, and qualified immunity kind of prevents that. So that's a problem in and of itself, regardless of the gun issue.
That's fair. And to be clear, I don't know that either about them. I was kind of thinking about this video I saw a couple months ago where it was a guy who was open carrying and he went into a police station with his camera on and they were like, you can't have your gun in here. And he's like, I'm a citizen. Like, this is my right. Like he was looking for this fight and he got it. And I don't know if that's what they were doing in this instance. I can't say that, but
Brian Thornton He says that litigating your arrest in real time and resisting is never a good idea, even if you're in the right.
He's right.
That is correct, but
Your life is more important than sitting there arguing with them.
But why does it have to come to you're choosing between your life and getting arrested? Why are those the two choices?
Because a lot of cops are quick on the trigger.
Well, that seems like a problem of the police, not of
No, it is. I mean, totally agree. It's a complete problem with the state of law enforcement and how they engage with citizens. However, if you want to walk away from that situation and then have that fight down the road, then you got to just, let it go. And that's what my dad always used to say. He's like, if you get pulled over for something, instead of fighting it, just like let it go. Just get arrested. I mean, get arrested, whatever, take the ticket, whatever the case may be. But why are you going to go through all that and have whatever the outcome may be simply because you want to make a point, even if you're right?
well,
Yeah.
There we go, guys.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
That was a great show. Our first live show. I appreciate you guys, all of your opinions, and I appreciate the listeners, the live viewers for tuning in.
Yeah, 6 now.
Brian Searle. I don't really appreciate you, Tao, because you like Charles.
Thanks, Tao. Please come back next week at 10 a.m.
Yeah, come back next week, but get yourself straight before you do it and start listening to the guy on the bottom. And Brian Thornton, of course. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, and oh wow,
Yeah, we were kidding. He was kidding.
Yeah, come back next week, of course, 10 a.m. Same time, same day. Like, subscribe, notify, whatever, all that stuff. You know what to do. Charles is probably better at saying it than me. It's the only compliment you'll ever get, Charles, from me. But your mom is a lovely person, and she's fantastic, and I appreciate her listening.
Thank you, guys. Have a happy Easter, nice weekend. Please tune in next week at 10 a.m. We'll be right back with Connie Burton, owner and publisher of The Texan. It'll be a great conversation.
We'll talk asset forfeiture.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.